Hello and welcome back to Bannerlord and Calradia Expanded. And this is where we're going. We're going into Sargeth once again because, of course, this is still unfinished business for us. And Aradwia's army is literally, well, right in front of us, pretty much. We have to be very, very careful because if I had left it a little moment more, he would have engaged us. And that would have been really bad. So that would have been really, really bad indeed, because there's also another vassal very close by with about 100 units, and he's going to also provide his party to the effort of absolutely annihilating us, and that's obviously something that we do not want. So generally, this is a do or die situation. If I fail to take Sargeth this time around, then we are probably, I don't want to say gonna get defeated, but I think it is much more likely than not if we fail here. If we fail here, then yeah, that's gonna be pretty bad. So hopefully we're not gonna have any issues, and hopefully I will be able to stay alive, because that's obviously something that I very much want to do. I want to try and make sure that I am contributing to the overall victory and the possibility of avoiding a wonderful defeat, because let's face it, we really do not want a defeat right here. If we can achieve victory here as well, I think that might push the war exhaustion just enough so that a couple of extra victories in a field battle, that will probably then result in the automatic peace being declared, and then the Cortanians will have nothing to show for it. Because here's the thing, Aradwia was actually attempting to besiege something very close by to us. I think they were attempting to take Druimore Castle, but they stopped as soon as I attempted to take Sargeth, and they were attempting to intercept us, and that's the reason why they are so close to us now. I was very much risking it because I could see him, literally see him, when I started my preparations to create the siege camp. So yeah, he's right there. He's really, really close. And hopefully we're not going to have to fight him in a field battle or anything like that, and that we'll be able to win this without too many difficulties. At the moment, it seems to be going quite well, but I don't know whether that is just the initial charge that's working well, or whether, you know, generally we're going to have issues. But hopefully not. And now I am jittering all over the place. I'm so sorry if you have motion sickness. I know I suffer from motion sickness sometimes, and that is terrible. So yeah, generally, whenever the camera does that kind of thing, I'm always like, ugh, that is really bad, you know? That is really, really bad. But thankfully, we were able to get up there, not too bad, and now we can deal with the remaining forces. I actually have no idea where the remaining forces even are. That's the one thing that I would probably say is it may be missing from the sieges. You cannot hold Alt on your keyboard to see where enemies are, like you can in a field battle. You can do that in a field battle, but not in a siege. So that's a bit, well, I wouldn't say strange, but I don't really know what the purpose of it is, because in general, most of the time you're going to be able to see where most of the enemies are anyway, but it's just nice to have a bit more of a streamlined experience. But of course, it's maybe because they are emphasizing the surprise element, if you know what I mean. Because generally, you're not going to know where the enemies are you? No, of course not. Why would you? You know, unless you have a spy, and in which case, then maybe it would be a good idea to add that as a gameplay element. You know, adding the ability to hire spies and to train spies, and then get those guys to infiltrate particular enemy thieves that you'd like additional information on, and then have them sabotage it, and so on and so forth. I know we had that amount of complexity in Viking Conquest and in Britanwalder as well. I know we had those kinds of mechanics in there, and so I was thinking, oh yeah, we're probably going to have that kind of thing in Bannerlord too, but no, we don't have spies, and we don't have sabotage or anything like that. It's kind of strange. I would have expected them to add that, but who knows? Maybe they will do that. Maybe they will do that in the end. Who knows? Because they have, I think they just released a, would I call it a developer blog? Maybe? Yeah, I guess it is a developer blog. in so many words. But generally, they've just released kind of like an update as to what they're doing and what they're planning on doing and so on and so forth. And they're mentioning a huge amount of different things, and it is all looking very, very good. And I'm just wondering, are they going to actually add these kinds of things like spies and stuff? I mean, maybe it makes no sense from a thematic perspective. Maybe it makes no sense whatsoever. I don't know. But generally, we'll see. But mostly what I've seen from their future plans being detailed in that post, I am encouraged, because from what I can tell, they are looking at the game and they're thinking, yes, we do need to do this, and we need to do that, and we need to do this and that, and so on and so forth. And that is all fantastic. I just want those other things, you know, I just want those other things. I just want more gameplay elements and stuff like that. And they are definitely considering those kinds of things too. I might make a separate video on it. I don't know whether you want to see that kind of stuff, because it's kind of lazy. I mean, generally my content is kind of lazy, to be fair. So, yeah, it's, you know, it's, it's like, you know, I don't know, like, if a content creator is making content on like an MMORPG or something, and then the MMO releases like some patch notes or something like that, and then the person does a video on what they've said in the patch notes and everything, and it's like, okay, well, that's good to know, you know, it's good to know, I guess. I mean, generally it's good to have a person that you may value the opinion of, I suppose, right? Of the changes and so on. But yeah, it obviously doesn't take that much effort to create. But yeah, well, whatever. Anyway, the point is, if you want to see that, then by all means let me know. If you want to see my opinion on that whole thing, it is a pretty big post, so it'd probably be a very long video. So if you want that, then by all means let me know. But otherwise, I'll probably maybe I'll just touch upon a couple of the points, a couple of the most important points, rather than going through the whole thing, because it is very, very lengthy, and they do say that themselves, admittedly, in the post, that they are going to have many, many different points that they want to make and touch upon in the post. So yeah. Anyway, there you go. That's a wonderful victory for us right there, and we were able to take Sargath, and Druimore Castle is exactly the way it should be. It is under our control still, and I can level up 61 troops. Very nice. I am very low in HP for some reason. Why was I so low in HP there? Guess I just took a lot of damage, right? Yeah, just took a lot of damage. Anyway, yeah, so this is what's currently happening. Look at this. We've taken absolutely everything in this area, which is fantastic. Let's go into the improved garrison right here and see if I can maybe get a couple of troops. Let's just get around 350 right there. That is exactly what we want. And then we're just going to wait here for some time, because that's what we need to do. Alright, it seems like they do have another castle. Yes, they do have another castle, so I'm going to have to do something about that. Oh, the Cortanian Vlandians have now decided to declare war against us. Okay, even more action is happening. Even more action. Okay, so I have no idea what even to do right now. I mean, to be fair, I think the best thing for me to do is either to go over here. Actually, that makes no sense, because the Sturgians are about to take that. So that is not even required. Right, so I think the best thing for me to do is to go to Sionen. If I go to Sionen right now, we will probably have a relatively easy time of capturing it. I think that's the one thing that we have to think about. We have to think about consolidating our territory, solidifying our borders and everything, and just making all of that almost impervious to any potential attack that is about to come in. And I think that generally if we were able to take this, then that is more likely than going and attacking something else. Sargath is now under attack once again, but I don't really mind that too much, because as I've said before, the war exhaustion is about to kick in. Maybe they're going to make peace with us, I'm not entirely sure. But what I do know is that we should head in here straight away and try and take this. There's 320 or so units here, so that's obviously going to be a bit problematic. But should be okay. Should be alright. Or at least I hope so. Let's cross our fingers and hope that that will be fine. Anyway, let's see where the ladders are. There they are. This might be a pretty interesting setup as well for the siege. So far, I mean, you can see the combat strength. The combat strength is looking pretty good in our favor right now, and it's been a while since we've actually fought Cortanians. So I'm looking forward to it, because I've seen way too much of the Botanians right now. These Botanians, they're always a big pain, aren't they? I mean, that's the funny thing. The Khuzait. Have you seen the Khuzait in this series? No. You know why? Yeah, they got eliminated very early on. I mean, technically they're not eliminated. They're still around somewhere. But generally they are much less prominent than they have been in pretty much any other series of mine for Bannerlord, which is speaking volumes about Calradia Expanded. I'm not entirely sure why that was, whether it was just dumb luck, or whether it was literally a particular faction directly countering them. That might have been the case too, because you got to think about that. What about if they are right next to a faction that just generally has either an exceptional force of pikemen, polearms, maybe something like that, generally some kind of unit that directly counters horse archers, or maybe they just made better tactical decisions, better strategic decisions, and so on. That could be contributing to their downfall. But you've seen them. You've seen their territory. Their territory is utterly pitiful right now, which is amazing. I absolutely love seeing that, because, to be honest, I like the Khuzait. Don't get me wrong. I like the Khuzait a lot, but I really don't like fighting against them. You know, fighting against them is one of those things that is very tedious and can be extremely infuriating, because they have so many good horse archers, such skilled units, that it's very difficult to get them in a situation where you're actually going to achieve something without losing a lot of units of your own, unless you have some really high tier units. So for example, if I'm playing the Botanians, you know, I'm gonna have Botanian Fian champions. Those guys are gonna absolutely tear apart horse archers. But most of the time, you're not gonna have them, are you? You know, you're not gonna have really, really good, you know, archers or crossbowmen or anything like that, and you're just gonna get outmatched by the Khuzait and their horse archers. So that is a thing. That is a thing, and they have definitely earned their fearsome reputation, because the Khuzait are... Whew, I'm just thankful I don't have to deal with them anymore in this particular campaign, to be honest. Let's go zoom zoom, and that's it. I'm going to shoot this guy in the back. There we go. Shoot him in the shoulder. Fantastic. Alright, so we ended up losing 42 units, but that is to be expected, of course. Sionin is now ours, however, which is exactly the reason why we did this anyway. And we have now leveled up a couple of people too. We can take the loot and everything, and we can go into the tavern and sell the prisoners. We're just going to show mercy right here. We're going to claim the fief once again. Generally, I think that that's what I'm going to do now. I'm basically going to claim every single fief that I can get my hands on, because at the end of the day, if I can get into a persuasion or barter situation, which is highly unlikely, but let's just say that I do at some point, and I'm bartering with a faction that very obviously doesn't have that much to really work with in terms of, you know, maybe they have 1 or 2 fiefs under their belts or something like that, and they really don't have anything much more than that, then it's really going to make a huge difference to our bargaining power. That really is going to just give us every single card in the deck, and they won't be able to do anything about it. And that's exactly the kind of thing that we want, because that's going to give us extra cash. It's going to give us the ability to completely eliminate enemy factions, possibly, because, as I say, if they only have 1 or 2 fiefs, I'm going to be able to trade some of my fiefs or some of my money over to them, and then we're going to be in a really, really nice spot. Anyway, I'm just going to go into the garrison here real quick, because no doubt there are going to be some pretty good units here. As you can see, there are some really, really nice ones, actually. And we are hopefully going to be able to... Yes, we've also got some cavalry, too. I like that. Okay. What, no companions? Are you serious? I was actually thinking to myself I'd go and get some companions here at the same time, but no. Okay, apparently there isn't anything. Okay, so let's go and speak to Rafard. Hopefully he has a couple of spaces. Yeah, he has a whole bunch. He has a whole bunch of spaces, so let's give him about 140 units or so, and then we'll move on. There we go. Okay, that's perfectly fine. And hopefully we also have Amalgan, hopefully you also have some space. Yes, indeed you do. There we are. Fantastic. Okay, yeah, that should be good enough. And there we have it. Okay, so now let's make our way over to Sargeth. It is still under siege. Druamore Castle is actually under siege as well by the Cortanians. I mean, obviously, as you'd expect, they are now going to all pile on. They're all going to pile on. They're all going to try and prey upon us in any way that they can, because how can you blame them? We technically are the overwhelming, most dominant faction in the game right now. So obviously they are going to be all over us. What's this? A rebel faction has emerged. Where? Where is that? Because I don't see it. Is that just me? No? No, I'm not seeing that one bit. I am not seeing the rebel faction right now. I mean, they said that it was in our faction's territory, and I was looking for a specific fief that was called that, but it doesn't look as though there is actually anything like it. So it seems to me like maybe the rebellion is somewhere else that I am unaware of or something. I'm not entirely sure, but anyway, Sargeth is not actually under siege any further, and as you can see, we have a bunch of Cortanians running down here as well. So it seems to me like I will have to go and do something else. Ah, Bruce has reached the age of 7. Fantastic. Okay, yeah, so actually someone was very, very helpful in the comments, and you said their stats, the child stats, the children's stats, they do not go above 11. Okay, I mean, they don't go above 10, should we say. So they don't go to 11 or 12 or anything like that. So that's really unfortunate in my opinion. I personally would like to see them have a higher attribute cap. I don't know whether that's just me, but I'd like to see them have a higher attribute cap, because if they are, as I said before, a product of your own character and your character is relatively decent, and I'm talking about, you know, pretty high stats in general. So let's say you have, you know, I don't know, 8 in everything, then your child is probably going to have like, what, 6 or 7 in everything. If you've married someone that also has relatively decent stat lines, then they're going to max out their statistics and attributes extremely fast. And that's the reason why I think that their caps should be increased just a little bit. And I'm talking about to maybe 12 or something like that. And then, as you go through the generations, because let's face it, if you're going to be playing the game for that long, then obviously your child is then going to have another child, and so that's basically your grandchild, I suppose, if you want to call it that, if your character is still alive, that is. And at that point, then the cap is going to increase again to 15, and so on, all the way to great-great-great-great-grandchild or something like that. Obviously, that's highly unlikely, let's face it, very unlikely to happen, but it could happen, you know, it could happen, and I think that's definitely going to be something to bear in mind. Anyway, we're going to be gaining tactics right here, and we're also going to be gaining some steward skill, which I very much appreciate, and Bruce is going to be an absolute monster when he grows up. He has so much in basically everything. He's got a huge amount of focus points all over the place, and he has really good statistics as well. So that's something to bear in mind. Anyway, we're going to go and... Oh, I'm actually already using my sword. Okay, fantastic. So let's just start the siege at Ormanfard Castle, and we'll see what we can do. Oh, vote for the new owner of Lycaron. Oh, now this is interesting. Okay. Oh, we have a bunch of... Oh, look at this. We have a bunch of people that have defected towards us. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, I'll give it to Kanujan then. Oh, never mind. I guess that doesn't really matter after all. But generally, I didn't really fancy giving it to a defector from the Botanians, if I'm honest. I would much prefer not to do that. But, you know, what can you do? Sometimes you're just going to have to allow your liege to do whatever he so desires, of course. Anyway, I'm just going to wait until daytime here, and then we're going to be going in. I actually wonder whether I have any perk points to spend in something. Nope, I almost have 150 in scouting, but that is pretty much it. Let's lead the assault then, I suppose. There are level 3 walls here, so it's highly unlikely that that's going to be anything really amazing to do, you know, me actually building any kind of siege equipment at all. I mean, obviously we've been using this strategy for quite some time now, and it has proven to be very effective. However, I will start going back to using trebuchets, because as I've seen in recent times, it can be effective. You just need to be a bit more selective about when you use them. You can't just automatically think, oh yes, this is exactly the kind of thing that I should do. I should always do this. And whatever that this is, you know what I mean? So you should not always use ladders. You should not always build trebuchets. It should be on a case-by-case basis. And you should make that call whenever you can, because that's going to make all the difference in the world to your efficiency in these kinds of sieges. And obviously bear in mind that, you know, staying alive and everything, which I'm very good at, as we all know. You know, I don't fall off any ledges, and I don't go splat onto the ground below and stain the wonderful white snow in my blood, in my foolish blood. Yes, indeed. Can I actually survive this? Maybe I'm going to be able to survive this. I'm literally running away from these guys right now. I am literally running away. Get out of my way, please. I would oh dear. I think I'm dead. I think I am actually dead. Oh, get out there. Oh, wow. There's a lot of enemies in here. There are a lot of enemies. I'm actually really surprised that there are so many. I'm actually going to tell them to charge in. I'm going to tell my guys to charge in before I get inevitably murdered, which is actually quite likely at this point. Ah, yeah, we got murdered. Thankfully, I did, I did take out quite a few people, and my forces are now on the battlements, which is obviously the only thing that we really wanted to have happen there. But generally, that was not a very good display. Not a very good display at all. I actually did not think for 1 second that the enemy would chase us down inside the walls themselves. They literally would not give up. And that's a testament. That's a testament to how good they are at defense. It seems like the Cortanians are a lot more, shall we say, attentive, a little bit more, you know, paying attention to detail when it comes to these kinds of things. And that really makes a huge difference to their effectiveness in their defensive efforts, I suppose you could say. Anyway, we're just going to slow things down a little bit, because apparently it is now causing a little bit of a problem with the frame rate for some reason. But yeah, most of my forces are going to be okay, apart from the fact that they just all got eliminated by one rock or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, it seems like many of the enemy are actually running away now as well, so I'm pretty happy with that. Let's just zoom a little bit to the end of this siege, and we are going to be taking Ormondfard Castle. Now bear in mind that the Cortanians are almost to the end of their war exhaustion. I'm very much hoping that that is going to be happening quite soon, so that I don't have to worry about any of their retaliatory strikes actually hitting home and doing something kind of useful, because at the moment they're not really doing anything that useful at all. For some reason the game is running like a slideshow right now. I have no idea why that is, because apart from this, the game has been running perfectly fine for the last couple of episodes. It's kind of strange. Anyway, I guess I will just let the game run normally then, because apparently when I zoom it, and indeed right now, look at this. There must be some problem with this castle. Alright, so there's a victory for us. It took a little bit of time to actually get us there, but thankfully we were able to speed it up a little, just a small amount. And now we can take all the prisoners and move on. And then I'm going to take a look and see just how many fiefs the Cortanians actually have, because obviously that is a big what-if situation, because if I am able to actually deal with them in a suitable manner, then I might be able to then refocus my efforts going somewhere else. So let's see if I can maybe do something, because I'm thinking if I can eliminate the Cortanians, I mean, look, they don't even have that much. Look, they've just got Oxhall, Osterken, Rovolt, and Tyr right there, and then they also have the castle, and that's basically it. So I'm thinking to myself, that sounds pretty good to me. That sounds pretty good, and I'm thinking, yeah, that's probably going to be something that I would like to do. In comparison, the Aserai obviously are very far away from us right now. The Botanians have been eliminated. Technically, obviously, if they take something back, like Druimore Castle, for example, then obviously they still have something. But for the most part, they shouldn't be that much of a threat at all. And you can see all of their combat strengths as well here. So the Aserai has 2.8k, the Botanians have 1.2. The Vlandians actually, they have 4k, which is quite a bit. The Dryaticans have lost a huge amount of combat strength in their time at war against us, which is definitely something to bear in mind. I'm actually wondering, you know what? Some of these people, these guys are willing. Look at this. Consider making peace, receiving 1,000 tribute. Let's do it. We're going to receive 1,000 tribute daily. I think that's actually kind of useful, because now my forces are not going to really bother with dealing with the Dryaticans, at least for a little bit. And their war exhaustion, as you can see, our war exhaustion was almost at the maximum. So if at any time I can actually get a peace agreement that is kind of positive, then I'm going to be doing that whenever possible. Obviously, sometimes that is just not going to happen because our people are stubborn or they just really hate those particular enemies. So I'm pretty happy with that, because I think there were a couple of people trying to take Lycaron back, which I very much did want to avoid. Anyway, I think that's going to be it for this episode. Next time we're going to focus on the Cortanian Vlandians and hope that the Botanians don't come back in and try and do something to us here, like taking Druimore Castle, for example. Anyway, I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.